Day 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. This step, you could take a very generic approach to it. Like, I could stand here and I could list all the people that I've hurt and all the things that I've done wrong, institutions that I owe money to. I could definitely list my wrongs and say, you know, that I want to make amends for those wrongs. And they tell us oftentimes to use step 4, the list off of your step 4, and there's your step 8. So by doing that, I think we do step 8 an injustice, because we don't look at all of the principles of humanity that are required to actually write that step and to actually make that list. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is willingness, which we've talked about already in step 6. Willingness to admit that I've done anything wrong. I can sit here and tell you on camera now, after 19 years sober, that I've done plenty wrong, but when it comes to really admitting it in my heart, that's a different story. Then there's humility, which we talked about just in step 7. I have to be humble enough not to say, yeah, but you did this and you did that. Doesn't matter what you did. It only matters what I did. And I have to be humble enough to accept what I did. I have to be honest about who I was then, what happened, and who I've become now. And, you know, then I have to find some gratitude. I have to find some gratitude that I'm living a different life now, and that it's okay for me. It's not okay that I hurt people, certainly not excusing that, but it's okay for me to let myself off the hook, like we've talked about quite often through these steps already. It's okay for me to say I was wrong. Oftentimes I've been taught not to say I'm sorry, because I spent my whole life thinking I was sorry anyway. So if I can just say I was wrong, my behavior was wrong. And then there's my perception. I completely have to change the way I perceive all of my relationships for my entire life in order to do a proper step 8. I have to let go of the resentments that I've had for anything wrong that you did to me, and I have to look objectively at the fact that, you know, I may have seen it that way, and it may not have really been that way, and had it been somebody else, maybe they wouldn't have perceived it that way. The most personal story that I can relate this to is probably one with my mom. So when I think about the relationship I've had with my mom, I'm so skewed in the things that I remember about my childhood that I lived with these resentments over and over and over, and that's what a resentment is. It's to feel it over and over and over again, to feel again and again and again. And that's what I did with some of the pain I thought that my mom caused me. But all of the while, other people on the outside looking in, they would say, oh my goodness, what a wonderful relationship y'all have and how great your mom was. And I had to start, it took me some time to clear my head and to start remember some of the good things. Like I remember when we were kids, she always had these really huge cars, like the big Impalas and the GTOs. And we, over on the East Lake Park, there was this hill that would just take our stomach. And we would be like, Mom, take our stomach. And she'd fly over that hill every time, and she'd just fly over the hill, and she'd do it over and over. And we'd go around the block and around the block, flying over the hill, taking our stomach. And, you know, it didn't matter how long we wanted to do that, she would do that for us. So those are the little things. And sometimes I would think, man, she didn't come to my basketball games. And then I have a friend go, girl, what you talking about? Your mama was at all of your games. And I look back through the annual, and there she was up in the stand yelling at the referee. And all the things that I perceived that she didn't do for me, when in actuality she had. So the amends that I owe for that is hanging on to things I thought she did wrong and not finding any good in her, you know? I want people to find the best in me, and I want to learn how to find the best in other people. Step 8 is just a cumulative, principled step that takes every step to date into consideration. The steps are in order for a reason, and this is the reason, so that we can learn these principles through the first 7. We get to step 8 and we look honestly at ourselves, and we make amends to those that we owe, and we are willing to go to any length to do that, and we get out of our pride and our selfishness and our self-centeredness and our arrogance. It's false pride. It's not even pride, it's false pride. And any time that my ego takes over, then I'm edging God out. So if I can look objectively at step 8, I'm amazed standing here right now at how important step 8 is, because I honestly took a generic approach to it myself the first time I did it. But now that I'm sitting here talking about it and I'm thinking about all the principles that are involved, this is a massive step. And this is the step that will give you freedom from the bondage of self. And I know that some of you are living in that bondage right now and you can't see clearly your way out of it. But if you want to get free from the bondage of self, then do step 8 and do it with everything you got. Tune in tomorrow for step 9.